Hello, Yvonne.
Hey.
How are
Hi,
you?
Evie. I'm fantastically well. How are you?
Fabulous. Yeah, really good, really good. Catching up,
Woohoo.
moving on,
Yes, lots
and
going
getting
on.
saboteurs left, right, and center. And now we can tell everybody about it, which is very exciting.
It really is. It is. I think this has become one of our favourite talking points when we're just having our
Absolutely.
conversations, right? Really understanding how all of this works, and actually the power once you know and you understand it. It's truly fantastic. So today we're really focusing on unlocking your potential and with positive intelligence and meeting your saboteurs. And actually, Evie, I'm going to let you kickstart because you were the one who introduced me to it. I know we ended up training together through it, but kind of when you first heard about positive intelligence, what drew you to it?
Well, I was introduced to it by another colleague, and at the time they were putting a cohort together for coaches to actually train for about 7 weeks. And I thought, why not? Let's see what that is all about. And that's when I said to you, come join us. Let's see, what this is all about. Because as you, I am always open to, new ideas, different modalities, things that, we can use in our own works. But the thing with I didn't realize is that it is so deep, and also that positive intelligence can be used in, like, not as a modality as such, but as an underline for any work that we do. And even if we don't work with, like, coaching, we can actually use it in our everyday life. And I think we both have ended up using it on ourselves for the 7 weeks that we were practicing, which was fantastic. But like every single day ever since, not only with our clients, but with ourselves. And, it is always a teaser for us because we are, sort of putting information about positive intelligence in these chats, and people might not know exactly what we're talking about. But today I'm really excited because we can actually tell people what that was. And to me, this is really, I want to say, for me, the epitome of what life should look like, and how to serve you in the best possible way. So yeah, I'm very passionate about it and very excited. But what did you think, Yvonne?
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting, Evie, because when you told me about it, a little bit of me went, oh, like another modality. And it wasn't because it was another modality. It was because I was just about to start my leadership course that I was on. And I just thought, now I'm going to have two programs going on. This is the very thing that I don't want to be doing, is like multiple things at once. At the same time, when I actually went to have a little bit of an investigation of my own, I thought, oh, this sounds really powerful. And I immediately could see how it kind of linked and bridged with physical intelligence, which of course I'd studied like 2 years ago. I was like thinking, there's a reason why this has come onto my radar. So I'm not in a position to just say, no, I'm not going to bother with it. I need to find a way to make it work with the other stuff that I'm doing. And I am just so thankful to you, one, for introducing, and to myself for doing it, right? Because it is an absolute game changer. And just as you said, I mean, I believe that any learning that we do, that we should always be the first point of call. Like, how does that feel for me? Does that do anything for me? Does it not? We should be our own guinea pigs, right? As I like to say.
Oh,
Before we
absolutely.
take it out and pour it over everybody else, 100%. So I just loved. It was almost like the simplicity, but the detail, and actually the actual experience, because this is something you embody, this is something that you feel. And it really reminded me of like fitness training, being that from someone from a fitness training background, understanding that when I go to the gym or when I take people to the gym, I'm helping them to build quality muscle so that they're stronger and healthier and fitter. And positive intelligence is exactly the same. but this is the
Absolutely.
mental muscle, right? So it's exactly the same. And with that comes the fact that you don't get to build this stuff in one day. It is consistency that actually gets the results. So like you, super excited to share more. Really am. And I'm going to let you kickstart.
Well, yeah, the thing with as you said, I think one thing that makes positive intelligence really not only useful but like accessible is its simplicity. It's the fact that yes, you have to be consistent, but you don't really have to do much. And you can, like any other habit that you want to build, you can build it around something that you do every day. And it does take like a couple of minutes every few hours, and that's that. And you can really make such a big difference in your life. And I know some people might be skeptical about that because it is so simple, but the truth is you need to actually do it to understand it. You cannot just how do you call it? Just dismiss it because it is so simple, really. But it needs to be consistent, because otherwise, yeah, like anything, you do something for 2 minutes, then you'll forget about it and never done it again. And you're like, yeah, I know about this. But it's not
Yeah,
about knowing something, it's about actually embodying something. We know quite a lot of things that we don't do anything about.
and there
And
you have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
knowing is one thing, doing is something completely different. And I think
Absolutely.
this is the powerful thing with positive intelligence. It does require you to do something, very small things throughout your day, or even if you have a better time of day for you and you do other little bits along the way, however you build that up. But underneath it all, positive intelligence is it's an operating system that has many applications. So whether it's about performance, whether it's about wellness, whether it's about stress, whether it's about emotional intelligence, relationships, conflict, this operating system works in all of those circumstances. And I think that also kind of blew my mind when I first heard about it. I was just like, how is that possible? This one thing is just going to deal with all these things. But having started, I think, when was it, back in April? Here we are
Mm-hmm.
in August. And I have reflected on this a lot, because as somebody who is generally upbeat anyway, I'm pretty high energy and all of that stuff I would have said before, but this has completely elevated and impacted and changed that, like, to next level. And I mean that in a really good way, right? It's not that I'm bouncing off of walls, but it has absolutely just given me a completely different sense of self, and the confidence that goes with that. And actually just seeing how the habits that I had that I didn't even realize were detrimental, how this has shifted those. And then I'm suddenly like, oh my gosh, wow, who knew? And so, because we're talking about the saboteurs area, I thought it would be good, perhaps, well, I'm really happy to share some of mine, what came up for me in positive intelligence. So you get to do, so laying the foundation is you do an assessment. The assessment gives you some results, and the assessment takes less than 5 minutes, right? You get some results from it, and it tells you about the saboteurs that are basically running in, I'm going to say in the background, but they're running the foreground in the background. That's kind of where they're at, right?
Absolutely.
They
Yeah.
are powerful, and they have been created quite often from our childhood, and they have been designed to protect us. There is nothing wrong with being protected. This, I think, we all know and can agree. However, when we bring those saboteurs through our lives and they become more and more powerful, they start interfering and interrupting with things that we really need to do to level up in whatever it is that we're doing, personal life and professional life. This is my interpretation of
Absolutely.
it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and And then when we understand that actually I can see how it protected me, but actually now it's kind of holding me back. It's keeping me small. It's getting in the way. I need to be able to break free from this set of behaviors and this thinking and these emotions that are all tied together. And and my top saboteur, and I'm just going to share my top one, was restless. And of course, the funniest thing is when you do these assessments and they kind of throw out, this is what's kind of running your show, you immediately want to resist it because you're like, there's nothing restless about me. I'm good to go and I get stuff done and da da da. The whole ego thing starts playing
Absolutely.
out. And so once you rein it back in and you actually start looking at what it's telling you, how this behavior shows up, how it shows up when it's doing good for you, and then how it shows up when it's actually getting in the way, you said, oh my gosh. Like for me, it was like, I see clearly what's been going on for me. I can see how that restless served me, absolutely. And I can see how it has disserved me very clearly.
Absolutely. And you think, sorry, but also we don't discount them, all these saboteurs. It's just a matter of reining them in and using them in the right way, I suppose. But yeah, I can see you're restless, quite prominent there because you have always done so many different things, and you like learning a lot and all these things, and it makes it very easy for us to say, but exactly, these are the reasons why I have succeeded in this, that, and the other. And we don't understand that there is a much easier way, not only to achieve the same results, but even 10 times bigger results. And that's what intrigued me with positive intelligence.
Yes. So. And I think that is it. That, yes, I've always been able to get lots done, and I'm blessed with pretty good organizational skills, so I could get stuff done, even if Absolutely. I was juggling lots of things. But the whole point is you're depleting energy. I'm depleting energy in ways that I don't need to be. That for me was the huge thing. It's just okay, so you've got all this stuff done and you've got stuff that you didn't finish either. You putting hand up, and you depleted energy in ways that you didn't need to. There is a better way, and this shows us that.
I mean, my one of my highest saboteurs is the overachiever, and anything over from the saboteurs is actually not achiever. It's just overachiever, which doesn't really make you achieve as much as you think. And if anything, it makes you kick yourself every time you don't achieve, every time you don't complete, every time. So it comes together with so much guilt and so much judgment and so many other things and voices that really stop you from moving forward, because you are constantly, as you said, putting your energy in all the things that you're not doing, that you're not achieving. And also comparison. That particular saboteur is very good in comparing, because I would like to have achieved what X achieved, and why didn't I achieve it? So I can definitely hear where how it is easy to say, but this is a good thing for me.
Yes.
But it is a good thing for you when you don't know the better way, I suppose. And do you want to tell us about the better way?
Yeah. So, well, I think first of all, just to get familiar with some of the names of the saboteurs, because we all have probably more than one running the show. There is fundamentally across all of us the judge, and I'm pretty certain that the vast majority of people, if they were honest with themselves, would say, yeah, I know my judge. I see my judge. I know what that looks like. But you've also got the hyperachiever, as Evie's just mentioned. You've got the restless that I've mentioned. You've got the controller, loves to be in control of everything. You've got the avoider, doesn't actually want to look at anything, thus not have to do anything. You've got the stickler, so you can see how that person just gets stuck in stuff. You've got the pleaser, who is somersaulting backwards and forwards for everybody. They're quite often some of the clients that I work with around their health and well-being and their self-care are pretty much their pleaser is up the top, generally speaking. You've got the hyper rational, and as Evie said, if it's hyper anything, it's too much, it's excess of, right? Nothing wrong with being rational, but hyper rational, not great. Nothing wrong with being an achiever, but hyper achiever, it's a whole other ball game, right? Then you have the victim, and you have hypervigilant. So these are the different saboteurs, and they show up in different ways. But because we have maybe 2 or 3, the judge, and then we maybe got a couple of others that are up there near the top, you can just almost imagine these 3 voices like holding hands and collaborating, God bless them, to make your life hell or difficult or challenging, and you don't even know it. So it's that ability to be able to see them, name them, and you don't have to use those names. You can call them, I gave my judge the name of the old hag, because that's how she kept on showing up for me every time I saw her. But you can give them names so that okay, now I know when I'm going down that road, I know who's holding my hand in that moment. And it is a little bit of, they are holding your hand to take you down a very specific route. But the sooner we understand these characters, these parts of ourselves, these voices, the sooner we can do something about it. And the wonderful thing is, in positive intelligence, we get to understand who they are, how they show up, how they impact us in the different areas of our life, and then how we build the mental muscle to quieten them. We're not asking them to disappear, because they can still serve us, they can still show up and be helpful, but how to quieten them so that our sage voice, the voice of wisdom, if you like, or that's how I like to refer to it, come into fruition, and we can utilize the skills of the sage so that we can go about the things that we need to do in a much more effective, helpful, uplifting, positive way. That's how I see it, Evie. I don't know if what would you add about the sage to that?
No, I completely agree with you. And that's the thing. It's like you can see, once you have the names, you can see what's going on in your head in some ways. Because, like we both work with clients that they tell us things that they cannot really put their finger on. They are like, oh, I have this, I'm in 2 minds, and this and that, and once you give them the language, then they start like the realization of like, okay, so this is who is talking now. That's what I can do about it, or that's what I don't want to do about it, whatever. So the good thing about giving them the names is and having the language for them, I think, is that we can, I wouldn't say control them, because my second big one is controller, but no, it's not about controlling anything. Recognize. Yes, that's a much better word. It's like recognize it and work with it, whether it is your saboteur or your sage. And I love what Shajad, who is the founder of positive intelligence, that he's saying you use the saboteurs as like your teachers in a way. Yes. Because the moment that they show up, that's when you are like ready to deal with that. And the more you do this, the more you build the sage muscle. Yes. So the more you become more ready to accept that, okay, certain things cannot be controlled, or certain things need to be let go, or certain things can be dealt with in a different way. And you are much more conscious about it, so you can deal with them in a different way. So instead of reacting, because we are so much in that reactive mode always, you can take that step back and be proactive about what you want to achieve and how to achieve it. And when the challenges show up, you know how to handle them. So yeah, I think that that is the beauty of the sage, and also what the sage can do and how we can use it, which I'll leave you to explain.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think that when I think about the sage, and just to say that, you know, in positive intelligence, there's kind of like three types of muscles that we are looking to work with. We've got the self-command muscle, where we want to build the ability to how we react or how we respond to things, and building that self-command. And you know, lots of people do this through meditation, which is a brilliant tool,
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Absolutely.
However, meditation is really about self-command. It's not necessarily about the other two muscles, but we can use meditation. I do meditation every day. I just wouldn't be without it now. It took me a long time to get to a place where I could even do the meditations. Now that they're deeply embedded into my practice, they are beautiful and magical and wonderful. But we want to build that self-command muscle, where we can just tap into what is the gift in this situation, what is the lesson in this situation, what's the best thing that we can do in this situation, being able to do all those things. Then there's also the saboteur interceptor. So this is about the things that we do, and this can be more about the PQ reps. So these are the types of exercises that we have access to on an app that is full of these wonderful exercises that you can do that help you to intercept when the saboteur is like on a running streak and you're just like, I need to quieten that stuff. And it brings you back into the body. And that for me is gold, because I'm all about embodiment. How do we come back into the body? And that for me is that massive connection between positive intelligence and physical intelligence. Back to the body, come back to the body, come back to the body. Not least because that's where the wisdom is, not least because that's where we have to go to control our nervous system. It is like this amazing thing that we get to do. And then actually building that sage muscle so that we are far more likely to use the neural pathways that lead to the better, that are being developed, that lead to better outcomes and behaviors than we were doing when we were going down the saboteur route. But understanding that takes time, because most of us have been doing what we've been doing for years. I mean, for years. So this doesn't change in 5 minutes. But you can start to see change within 6 to 8 weeks, without a shadow of a doubt. I've been using it for
We've done
months,
it
every day, and I'm telling you, it's just like I kind of played a trick on myself this morning. I played a little trick on myself this morning. I just thought, actually, I'm going to have a really lazy morning. I'm just going to, around before I do anything. Couldn't do it. So funny. It was just hilarious. It was almost as if my mind picked me up off of the chair and took me into the bath, took me to do all the things that I needed to do, and then plonked me back in front of my laptop. And I laughed at myself, because I just thought, so once upon a time, I would have happily done that. I'd have just thought, oh, I'm going to chill for an hour or so, and then I'll get stuck into my work. It was just like, you got stuff to do. It was just like, you got things to do. No rush, no panic, no push. It was a pull. And it was a pull. Come, let's just get in and do the stuff that needs to be done. It was funny. It was funny to almost watch myself doing it. But that's how powerful it is. That's how powerful it is. This stuff works.
It is. It is amazing. And I mean, it goes well with what we were discussing about push and pull the other day as well. I mean, when you get to that stage of being pulled to do your work, it means that you are really, in that really good place. And you don't want to miss out, I suppose, being in that state. So yeah, I find that unless I follow certain routines for myself every morning, and I can't get things going the way that I want. But I also, if I do miss for any reason, I can see the difference now, and I can see it clearly. I can almost pinpoint it to myself.
Yes.
And as you say, it's really nice when you start seeing yourself in like almost from the outside, but not in judgment, and that is also a very important bit. Because we all are very good in judging ourselves, judging others, judging the circumstances, but like being able to just see and be, without the judgment, but with like empowerment instead. I think that is definitely a game changer.
Absolutely. And with empathy and kindness, actually,
Yeah.
through the perspective of being kind. And I've just seen, we've had a message from Claudia, and she said, I have Miss Perfect, which I guess in many ways would be maybe the hyperachiever, that, you know, everything has to be just so, but that could be mixed with some of the other things as well, right? Controller could be in there. So, you know, we will put the link to the assessment underneath the video. And I'm just going to encourage anyone who comes across the video to watch and then go and do the assessment, because it really is just a great way of just having a deeper understanding of how you have been operating, because we are all operating in some way, whether that's to our
Absolutely.
benefit or to our detriment. But if it's to our detriment, the sooner we know, the sooner we can do something different, right? This is that opportunity, like, face it, you know, and instead of fighting it and thinking that's not me, that's not how I show up, look for the things that do resonate, because not all the things. So when I looked at the restless profile, for example, not everything that was listed under how it shows up resonated with me, but a lot of it did. So I was just like, not so much. So I could see where it comes through in me. You know, remember, we're all different people. So how the restless shows up in me may show up slightly different than somebody else. That's the differences. So when we look down those checklists of what those things are, we can see what comes up for us. And the most empowering thing we can do is not fight it. Just say, okay, even if I don't agree with it, I'm going to be curious, and I'm just going to explore, and I'm going to really think about, actually, when I'm in these situations, what are my go-to behaviors and thoughts? Because I would put money on it that somewhere some of those things are showing up. And you may even look down, there's only one thing there, but that thing may be really powerful in how it's
Yeah.
showing up. So understanding the power. And I don't know about you, Evie, but I've redone my assessment since I first did it. And my restless went from 6.5 to 2.5. That's where it
Wow.
is now. That's in 5 months.
Okay.
And I know it, and I can actually say, and that's an absolute fact, because I see how I work every day now is different to how I would have 5 months ago. So again, it's one of these things. You can go back, do the work, do the exercises, go back, see if anything's changed, see what's happening for you. It's a super powerful, brilliant tool, and I can't speak highly enough about it, but I also don't want to push it down people's throat. But I'm just going to encourage you. The assessment's free, to make sure that you kind of have a look in and see what you think.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you as well. I haven't done the assessment, but now I'm intrigued. I think, with curiosity, I'm going to go back and do it. And that is the thing. Even, one thing I want to add to the assessment bit is that even if your higher saboteurs show up and they don't seem to be the right ones, or you have something else, first of all, we have all the saboteurs, and it doesn't really matter how high, how low, how this and that. I mean, it might be that you are in this part of your life right now that a saboteur shows up so much stronger because of the circumstances. It doesn't matter. So just be curious with what you think resonates the most and start from there. There is no right and wrong in anything that we do. Awareness is the most important bit in this. And I love the SAGE's powers, because they are the ones that I have seen not only here in positive intelligence, but like across the board when it comes to coaching and the various modalities. You see that you are always asked to be curious. You're always asked to be active towards a goal. You're always asked to to use your imagination, your creativity, all these things are all part like of the sage. It's just that we give it a different name, or this way they can be, when something has a name, it can be in the forefront of our thoughts as well, rather than somewhere it's something I
Yeah,
cannot put my
it's
finger
something, but
on.
I don't know what it is. I can't put a name on it.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
has a name, which makes it really easy to access. And those sage powers that Evie was talking about, you've got explore. I'm always just explore. Just instead of like it has to be this and it must be this way, explore. And if it doesn't work out, what else could there be? So this is all the stuff that positive intelligence is about. Explore. And guess what? If something doesn't figure out, let's explore a little bit further. Let's be more creative. Let's do some navigating and go in and kind of check in with our wiser self and see what our wiser self may be telling us, because our wiser self asks some slightly different kind of questions than other parts of us, like what's truly important, and those kind of deeper, meaningful questions. You've got all of that thing about activate, like, I've got this idea, this is the one I want to work with, let's activate that now. What do we need to do to make that happen? And there's the empathize, which I think is another really beautiful part of the sage, where we kind of really focus in on, that kindness, the gentleness that we need to have with ourselves when we're going through all of life's stuff, because we can be so hard on ourselves that we almost break ourselves in the process. And this system is all about, we're not doing that. That's not what we're here to do. We want to be able to be kind to ourselves as we explore, as we get curious, so that we can generate the best possible outcomes in our lives, in the work that we're doing, in our relationships that we have, in our health, all of those things. It's just a beautiful system, and I am in love with it. But I love it because I've done so many different modalities, and don't get me wrong, there's not a modality that I've done that I haven't enjoyed. NLP, through pure coaching, all of those things, everything has value. However, this has just felt so accessible for everyone. That's how it feels, and it's a little bit of just trust the process, and the results definitely will come.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I also like with regards to positive intelligence, the approach, and it's not the approach like, okay, be curious about yourself. Then it becomes be curious about others, become curious about situations. So you're always investigating on various areas, and you're seeing things from various aspects as well. So it gives you so much scope as to how to handle life and how to handle certain situations and circumstances. And I think this is very important, especially when we are in challenging situations, or we're dealing with challenging people, or we are challenged ourselves for any reason.
Yes.
And it gives you the tools to actually move forward with all this and find workable scenarios that they can eventually serve you. That gift and opportunity, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I understand it's not that everything can be a gift and opportunity, but I mean, I have a feeling that everything can eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that is like, as you said, it's like it is something that I mean, I find that it helps my clients so much when I introduce them to it, because it's not just one more thing to do. It's just something that you live, that you are with. I don't know. I can't really explain that. It's like, as you say, it's part
Yeah.
of the process, whatever process
Absolutely.
that is for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think part of that is that, well, it's because it's the embodiment. It's the coming back to the body. It's not something you need to go and do out there. This is the work. And for me,
That's
this is
it.
the work here. This is the work. And actually those modalities and things that bring us to the body, is where we tend to see the biggest changes and the gains, because now we're working on the stuff that truly matters. And when we've done that work, how we see the world out there changes, how we deal with the world out there changes, and that's what we need to work towards. That's what we need to see more of. I believe that is my point of view. Clearly, not I'm not saying that's how it has to be, but if it were that way, the world would look very different and feel very different. That I completely believe. And the better the relationships we have with ourselves, as you were saying, Evie, that this positive intelligence is not purely about that. It's that relationship with others. It's the relationship with the situations you find yourself in. Because all of those, if you can get into those different perspectives, the solutions and things that you come up with are taking all of that into consideration. And that is so impactful. It really can make a huge difference. So my final words is, give the assessment a go. If you do nothing else, if you don't want to hear another word about positive intelligence, you might not want to listen to our lives. But if nothing else, do the assessment and then just be curious about the results. Be curious, and don't start judging yourself. Don't start thinking, oh my gosh, no wonder, how awful am I? None of that nonsense. That is not where we're going with this. It's just a true, pure reflection of, wow, okay, I see how that would be playing out, and that's the best place to be in, because once you're aware and you see it, you can start doing something different.
For sure. Evie? And I would like to just connect it with something else at this particular last minute thing is, I follow and I also meditate every day, but with a very specific program. And the founder of that program, B. Harris, used to say that when you are really aware of something, you cannot really, if it harms you, you cannot keep doing it. So by being aware of what you are moved about from, it is much easier to choose. So awareness gives you choice. And I think that this is what I would like to leave everybody with. Do the assessment if you found this discussion interesting, and explore further, because you never know where it's going to take you. See, Yvonne started quite skeptical, and now we're doing this discussion here together. It does work. It does help immensely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you've done the assessment, if you want any support, or you want to kind of talk through what's come up for you, then please reach out to either Evie or myself. We'll be more than happy to kind of help you look at that assessment, perhaps in a little bit more detail. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Evie, thank you as always. Great being with you.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's great being here with you.
Claudia, thank you so much for joining us and for posting little messages. It's great to have some interaction as well. And we'll make sure that we drop that link in.
Excellent. Take care. Bye.
Bye.